Hello game devs! In this video we're going to be talking about The Longing. It's an award-winning side-scroller that really swept 2020 in both the American and German festivals, so stick around. The Longing is an indie side-scroller, and it's developed by a company called Studio Soufs. It's mostly made up of a single developer, Anselm Pita. This game has a lot of fantastic qualities and lessons to learn. In this game, players play as the Shade, so a lonely creature waiting to wake up an enormous sleeping king in 400 days. Did I mention that this game is in real time? So that's a really important aspect to understand, is that time is one of the key concepts of this project. So the concept of the game revolves around time mechanically. Nearly every aspect of the game, or the minute-to-minute experience, also revolves around time. So if you see like a stick creaking a little from the weight of objects that are above it, perhaps if you sit on top of it for enough time, it will snap and give way to a new section. Want to see the world map? Well, you're going to have to wait for the camera to zoom really out really far by standing still in front of a map. And when we're talking about standing, we're talking about minutes or hours, not necessarily seconds. There's also, of course, ways to speed up time by making your home more cozy and places to explore, which populate with new collectibles and objects. So very similar to many other games in a lot of aspects. So this gameplay connection with time, though, is executed fantastically. Everything around in the game revolves around it, and for a solo developer, Anselm uses a bunch of great tricks to fill out the world. Specifically, it's really interesting that the player can pick up novels and read them in their entirety, so the character, the Shade, will read novels. And you'd think that would have taken like ages to write all these books that you can actually read every single page of, but instead the game uses novels from public domain and literature, so that every single book is completely readable by the player. Not that anyone reads anything that anyone ever writes in a video game, at least in my experience, but maybe like 5-10% of people. But narratively, this game also is really interesting because it's capitalizing on old German legends, which is another great jumping off point. The developer took inspiration from his personal background and then extrapolated that personal story with a hook of the game, specifically time in this case. That's the hook. And this really comes across compared to other side-scrollers, which really, they rely on a lot of twitch-based gameplay, platforming, constantly engaging in motion. It's a very different game, so it's a relief to see someone break out of that typical mold, and then that click and wait feel is both really refreshing but also a little nostalgic because there's games like Secret of Monkey Island and that kind of thing. So it just gives it a really unique feel. Not to mention, there's the hand-drawn artwork, which is both striking and easy to do. The artwork follows the pen and paper shading techniques that you might have learned in traditional art school, and it really lends to making the things feel lonely and depressed and silent. This is a really inspiring way to make art, and I could imagine making a game of my own by drawing in a sketchbook and scanning my sketch pad and then maybe assembling things afterwards in Photoshop or Flash, add color, that kind of thing. So maybe I'm doing black and whites, maybe like if you were doing a comic book as well. So this game is a great example of doing a lot with a little. It was so cool that it was made in Unity. So take a look and tell me what you think of this game. Check out the developer interviews as well and my How to Critique video if you haven't already. And tell me what lessons can you take away from this game when you're implementing your own work? What is really interesting about this game? What is it that really stands out for you? I want to hear from you. Other than that, I will see you in class.